Hey, hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Jeez, my throat. How's everybody doing today? It's Sunday Comics. This is slanted, and it's driving me crazy. There we go. All right, it's still slanted. What do you want me to do? All right, so how you doing? Just sent out the link. Was there a problem? Did I forget to send out the link? Hope you all having a blessed Sunday. You too, Zach Tan. How you doing? So my friend asked to do this, and we have very similar birthdays. Mine was just Friday, so of course I'll do this for my buddy's birthday. He said he never saw the inside of this comic. Oh God, now I got to sneeze. Turned out to be a wonderful introduction. So let me start over again. Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. It's Sunday Comics. We're going to take a look at Avengers 1987. This is from 1979. I can pretty much do almost any Avengers comic from this time period. This is like 35 issues of just amazing comics. It's just so good. Now, this is my actual copy. You can see how beat up it is over here. But somebody said this was George Perez cover, but this is John Byrne, Terry Austin. Oh, you're not. Can you even see it? Can you even see? You can't even see it, but it's John Byrne, Terry Austin. Geez, look at that. With these, just is it any wonder I am the way I am about superhero costumes? I mean, look at these great superhero costumes. We got Captain America over here, just drawn by John Byrne. It's just amazing. Like again, superhero costumes should be simple and elegant. There's not a wasted line, in the costume design. I mean, there's lines and marks as far as the inking, but I'm talking about the costume itself. Look, Captain America, 3 colors, red, white, and blue. This is the ultimate Miss Marvel costume. Just such a great costume. Just 3 colors, blue, yellow, red. The Falcon, yellow, white, red. Quicksilver, white, black, blue. The Wasp, that's part of her, like, whatever motif is that she's constantly changing her costume because she's a fashion designer. But this particular costume is red, white, black. Not my favorite Wasp costume, but it's a good Wasp costume. And then Wonder Man with this so bad it's good costume. It really is awful. The safari jacket, black. He's got red, black. And then Scarlet Witch over here, just in red. Just look at that. Captain America, Miss Marvel, the Falcon, Quicksilver, the Wasp, Wonder Man, all at the mercy of the Witch of Wundagore Mountain. I love that. Just such a good cover. And then we got this, like, not quite Kirby Crackle, but I guess it is Kirby Crackle. It's like a color effect on the back. It's just so good. Can you imagine seeing this in the comic book store? How, or the newsstand? Just how much would this inspire you to buy it? I mean, at this point, I was full on collecting comics. I couldn't believe this cover at this point. Before we open up the comic, let's check out the chat. As always, I put my link. My comic is still available. Right as soon as I'm done with this, I got to inventory how many issues I have, and I don't want to sell a copy and then find out I don't have any more. So there you go. That's my next task today is to and then when my wife comes home, she's out at a church lunch. She's gonna cut my hair. So there we go. Oh, Marcus sent out the link. Zach Tan. Oh, good. I got my blessing. Good. Again, he put out my link. Should I write a Captain Liberty #1 or the bonus story? For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, creative personnel and myself would talk back and forth. He sent me a picture of his character, just a picture of the character, then asked me, like, using my insane nonsense about my superhero insanity, and I just started describing the superhero just based on the picture, and it turns out the name of the character is Captain Liberty. So should I write Captain Liberty 1 or the bonus story? I can't answer that question, when it comes to like what should you do, I, that for me, I just go by gut instinct. My gut instinct. I've been living my life by gut instinct. Like I have like rules, be nice, and things like that. Give people the benefit of the doubt. But like when it comes to writing a comic book story, like why did I start just telling like a general day in the life of the patriarch? Because I thought that was my gut just said this is the easiest way to get people to interested in the character. If I started going deep into the lore and do you want to do the origin of my character before people even care? Like, I don't know. So I just thought like, I just wanted to like, who is he? What does he do? What are his powers? And I thought that it was just gut. So you got to go with your gut. Marcus always sends out the link. Thank you. Greetings from Raleigh, North Carolina. Happy Sunday. Look at that totally misunderstood heroine with a sympathetic background, just working through her emotions in a totally healthy and justified manner. Oh, and then there's the Scarlet Witch. Yeah. Yeah. Scarlet Witch used to be one of my favorite characters. But I hate to say it, but like now that everybody else loves, I'm like, my, I'm like one of those contrarians. Oh, everybody likes it now? Well, I'm moving on. Everybody's saying hello to each other. I loved it. Stan Lee believed in primary colors for the heroes. Yes. And the secondary colors for the villains. Yeah. It's pretty good use of color theory, if you ask me. Which is why like the Hulk is the way he is, right? Is he a villain? Is he a hero? Person, blue holding pencil, person, blue speaking microphone. Okay. They used to have to indicate things like the Kirby crackle and color by using a red pen on an overlay. Oh, is that how they do it? See, that's the kind of stuff I really like to learn is like how the actual art is done. Being that I could barely draw. Let me address the last comment, and I'll talk about what I was just thinking. Hey, Pops is here. Yo, the witch before she got woke. How you doing? The woke witch. There you go, Marcus. You're an artist. You could make a comic character, the woke witch. She definitely has to have blue hair. And she has like a rainbow costume and a wheelchair. So anyway, forgive me for doing this. But okay, so what was I saying? I had an idea. And let me ask you guys think. Renzo and I were going back and forth about character designs. I was talking about in issue 3 of Heroic Tales, I'm going to introduce a Batman type character. And in my role-playing games, my Batman character is a character called the Raven. And he is like a undercover cop going through hard times, and he's just taking out his frustrations with his family life on criminals, and he's just spiraling out of control. And I wanted him to be like a contrast to the patriarch who is totally balancing his family life. He's happy. His family understands what he does, and he has a large, and then there's the Raven, like I want to play off like the Superman and Batman. The problem was there's Raven in the Titans. There's Raven in, I can't even think of how many other Raven characters there are, but so I changed him, and I changed him to the Rook, and then Jeff Johns came out with a comic called Rook, and then I changed him to something else. Well, the other name I was going to change him to, might as well tell you now, is the Street Cleaner, and he was going to be based on Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver. Someday a real rain will wash the scum off the streets, and then he was going to say, "I am that rain. I am the street cleaner," and he was going to be like a Punisher. Like just after I saw the design that Renzo did, he was like going to be super villain. I mean, super violent. And I was talking with Oscar, one of my two colorists, and he was just like, "You worry too much," So I went back to the Raven. So he's going to be called the Raven. And I'm real happy with that idea. You know what? Like, this the way I look at this, so many characters called Raven that can you and there's so many Batman wannabes and knockoff stuff like that. So you know what? I'm living. I'm happy with the Raven. So so I'm gonna spoil a little bit. This is the design that Renzo is coming up with for the Raven. Now the Raven is going to be the Grackle is a good name. Zach Dan says the Grackle is a good name. It might be the Raven's villain. Call him Dark Raven. That to me is a you know like Dark Matter would be a good use of it, but I don't want to just like Superman, Dark Superman, the Vision, Dark Vision. But so he is not a detective. He's just he's a brawler. He's a brawler, and there's going to be like a Jim Gordon type guy that is his buddy, who is the legit detective. He's a police detective. You know what I mean? So he is the bullet, and his Jim Gordon character, Augie Carmichael, is going to be the gun. So I'm going back with this. I just love that design. It's just so good. So I'm going back to him. And then when I saw that, and he doesn't even debut to issue 3, so there's no reason for Renzo to even be drawing it, other than I was asking him what he thought. He liked the Raven better than the Street Cleaner, and I think everybody but me, and some about the Street Cleaner didn't seem authentic, but I do like the Street Cleaner, so I will be using the Street Cleaner as my Punisher. You know, Batman, so that there will be a Street Cleaner. And what was I going to say? So anyway, that's that. So when he sent me that sketch, I had the idea, what if like somewhere down the road I did a Heroic Tales art book with all of the sketches, all the character designs that me and Renzo and Oscar have been going back and forth with, you know. So I made a folder, and you know, every time Renzo does sketches, like, how about this for a character? How about that for? We've been putting it in a folder. So somewhere down the line, we'll do a campaign for the Heroic Tales sketchbook, all Lorenzo and like different coloring schemes, and then even my stupid terrible drawings of the designs that I sent to Renzo. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think about that? I thought you had a character with a rain cloud motif. Yes, that was the Street Cleaner. You know what? I showed him, but I will show him again now since I'm talking about it. And okay, I will show. I'm just searching for the file, and it I feel bad because Renzo called him the trashed character instead of the Street Cleaner, but he's not trashed. I'm just changing my but this is the character. This is the Street Cleaner, and you can see that circle is raindrops. You know, and I inspired him. He's inspired by Travis Bickle, so he has that, like, instead of a mohawk, he's got a crest. He carries a snub-nosed revolver, so he's gonna be like a Punisher type, like ultraviolet, doesn't mind killing. Where's, you know, so I already have a story with him, so this is kind of cool. So in my like cowardice to not get in trouble, I changed the character, and then I've come full circle and I've come back to my original design, and it just feels right. But I made up another character, and then I'm like, but I like that character too, so I'm gonna find a way to incorporate him in a story. Now, keep in mind, I only get to do like maybe 1-2 comics a year, so who knows, you know. And this is assuming my comics are successful. So you know, maybe I'll never get to him, whatever. But at the very least, I designed another cool character who may or may not be used. But you know, I already designed a logo for him. I got 2 pages of art done with him already. So you know, I paid for 2 pages of art. I paid for 2 pages of coloring. I paid for a logo, but whatever. It's fun. I still might get the poster that I had made up of him lettered, just whatever. But anyway, that's the story of my thought process. What do you guys think? Any input on that? I can't wait. I can't wait to, I got, of course I want to put my own spin on things. So he's not a complete ripoff of Batman. He's nowhere near as smart. It's funny. Marcus teases me. He's like, whenever I put up my character against an established character, I go, oh, that character would beat my character. And Renzo's like, all your characters are going to get beat. Oh, the Raven would totally get destroyed by Batman. Even like almost any version of Batman would beat the Raven. Why? He's fully normal guy. He's a normal guy. He's not a detective. He's not a genius. He's not a billionaire. He's actually a guy struggling to pay the bills, taking his frustrations out on criminals. So I like more human. I like more down to earth, So there we go. There we go. All right. So let's talk about this comic. Earth's Mightiest Heroes, 1979. Geez, how old was I? I was born in 68. So I was 11 years old. 11 years old when this comic came out. Just imagine this comic on the newsstand. It'll be cool to see how the Patriarch plays off other superheroes. Yeah. Issue 2, the Patriarch meets 2 other superheroes. The totally good guys, so they don't fight. 2 other superheroes. I don't want to spoil them. And Mary Sue shows a bunch of superheroes, but they're like on the Ozymandias, the computer screen. They're talking about superheroes. So you're going to see a whole bunch. You're going to see about 11 new superhero characters in issue 2 of Heroic Tales, but they're not going to be beating each other up yet. And you're going to see 3 supervillains. So you're going to, it's like I was telling Renowned did the cards for my, Renzo did the character sketches. Daniel did the coloring. Oscar did coloring on a couple, and Ron did the suit. So there were 7 cards. So geez, there's going to be, wow, 15 card set. I hope I can make it. Oh, and also you could buy the other 3 cards that weren't unlocked if you go to Fund My Comic. I think Luke is setting it up now. Focus, John. Focus. All right, so let's check out this comic. All right, so what do we got? We got Mark Rudenwald and Stephen Grant doing the plot. Dave Michelini is the actual writer. John Byrne is the pencils. Dan Green inks. Jim Novak letters. George Russo colors. Roger Stern is the editor. Oh, God. Jim Shooter is the editor-in-chief. Now, what do you guys think, Dan Green? I always like Dan Green as an inker better than a penciler. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? I just love this opening page. I love when John Byrne draws metal. It's just so cool. Need a little bit more light on the comic, don't you think? Let's see. That's terrible. Okay, that's okay. Okay, the Call of the Mountain King. So going forward, I'm going to just look at the page, and then before I turn the page, I'll adjust the chat. But look at that. We got this mountain over here, this little village, the Quinjet just rocketing through. I just love this. And look at the coloring. Everything in the background is this like grayish blue steel. All of the heroes are like brown orange. Not a lot of colors, but it just works. I don't know. There's got to be a word for this, this a color theory word, but it's something that the comic book people just figured out that you don't need to super saturate every line with colors. It's, I don't know. I just really, really like this. Let's see what the chat has to say. Marcus says, I love to draw superheroes, but Drew Gunslinger spawned last night. Yeah, it looked good too. Drew did well. I was, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, Don draws stuff, his channel, Don Edwards. He does a YouTube show every Saturday night. I think it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and It's just called The Studio, and it's just a bunch of guys drawing and talking comics. It's a lot of fun. I can't draw. It would be funny to put my camera down and watch me draw. They can make fun of me, but it's a lot of fun. They pick a character, they all draw. It's really cool to see everybody's different renditions of these characters. Just remember, the Raven is a smart bird. It'll put a tough nut on the road and wait for the vehicle to run it over in order to get the. Yes, I love ravens. I love ravens. When I went to Iceland, I was trying to attract the attention of the ravens. There's ravens everywhere. Raven is my favorite bird, and Odin is my favorite character. So I love Raven. Yeah, I'm not saying that the Raven, my character, is a dummy. He's smart. He's clever, but he's not Mr. Science God. You know, like and the character doesn't belong like interdimensional. You know, he belongs, you know, in a crack house beating the crap out of people. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't want you to think he's going to be a big dummy. You know, no. He's going to be clever. You don't survive as a superhero unless you're clever, or you're a big dummy on a team with other people to guide you. Dan Green's a good inker for Byrne. Yeah, I agree. He's one of my favorite. I always liked Austin as my favorite. Dan Green and Carl Kessel I like as inkers for Byrne, and then Byrne himself is a good inker for Byrne. But I would rather have Dan Green or Terry Austin inking Byrne. It's funny that Byrne is like my third favorite inker for Byrne. I like the costumes on the front page, but has that future retro look of the original Star Trek. Yeah, okay. How you doing? Do it. What are you saying? Do it to Jim. Here's a link to the studio. Okay, I got confused. Adam Carolla wants to use ravens to stop school shooters. You're gonna have to explain that, like actual birds or my character. Because if Adam Carolla knows about my character, why didn't he buy my comic books? Oh, just do it. Just draw. Yeah, that'll be funny. That'll be funny. That'll be real funny. Because here, since I got the folder up, Renzo created a folder of my drawings. So since we're talking about the Raven, I will show you how well I draw. Okay, so here is my sketch of the Raven with my notes to Renzo. So that's what I sent Renzo, and you saw what he sent me back. Whoop. There we go. Actual birds. He thinks they're smart enough to be trained for that. You know, why not? They train dolphins for like underwater bombing. You know, we train dogs, and ravens are pretty smart, and they live for like 40 years. I love ravens, and they can mimic human sound. That is, sorry guys, sorry about this. That's an interesting idea. I'm not smart enough to know if it could work, but it is interesting. You know, put ravens at every school. I made the right choice for it. Yeah, nobody would buy my comic. Nobody would buy my comic. And yeah, I did. I made the absolute best choice in the world with Renzo. You know, well, in all seriousness, Renzo is in demand, and a lot of people wanted to work with him. And when I started to talk to him about the comic, he was working with like 4 or 5 different people, and I don't want to tell tales after school, but a couple of people that he was done with their obligations, he was like, I don't want to work with them again. One guy, he did 2 pages, and he was like, you know, Renzo's reasonable. I wish I could afford to pay him more because he's totally worth it. But for his rates, one guy was making such outrageous demand, basically like telling him what to draw for a page, and then telling him to like redraw it like from scratch. And he said after like 4 attempts on one page, and he only got paid once, he was like, I can't afford to do this. He was spending 4 times as much time on per page for one rate. And, you know, and he didn't want to tell me that he quit because he thought it would make him look bad, like oh, this guy's a quitter. And I was like, and then that guy, behind the scenes drama, that guy started messaging me. You told Renzo to quit. You told Renzo I'm going to expose you. And I was like, oh God, I didn't even know Renzo. I literally didn't even know Renzo was working for both of us at the same time. And he sent me like private messages, and and then he went on Twitter and started make. I was like, oh my God. So I just responded to him politely, and then never responded to him again. And I just waited for like these insane messages to go away. And then I asked Renzo, is this guy? He's like, he was embarrassed that I knew about it. You know what I mean? Because he thought I was gonna be like mad at him. No way, whatever. But long story short, he's in demand. A lot of people want to work with him, but we get along. We get along. And one of the things that I do is I'm a lunatic. I send him like this. This is one of my first scripts that I made. This is one page. You know what I mean? This is all one page. So it's pretty detailed, so that when I get the art back from Renzo, there's no changes. Like I said, there was one change that I thought really needed to be done, and I was up all night going, oh my God, is this fair of me to ask Renzo to change this? I'm gonna have to pay him again, but I can't keep this. It doesn't look right. It's not right. It's gonna change the way the story goes. There's things that he does different than I thought, and for the most part, his art instincts are wonderful. Like there was one page in the comic, I said it was 5 panels. He turned it to 9 panels. I'm like, oh yeah. So I was like, what do I do? So I asked him, and he was like, yeah, 3 taps. I told the story a few times because I didn't understand it was he draws in layers. So he tapped down to 3 layers and swiped that layer away, and that fixed the whole problem. I was like, oh, okay. Like there was a one page in Mary Sue that's really, really important with the color. Really, really important with the color. And I kept talking to Oscar, and I apologized profusely. I'm like, no, it has to be exactly like this, otherwise it won't make sense. And I know you don't get it because I send the colors to full script too. I think that's just silly to ask to just make them guess. You know what I mean? I said the character designs and and explanations of their colors and everything like that. So the more information that everybody works with, I don't. So the colorist gets everything that Renzo gets, and me and Oscar, we sit up till 4:00 in the morning, and he was just like, no, that's cool. He's like, John, this is like the first time you've ever asked me to do something specific. So but Oscar knew that it was important, but I just think I failed to explain exactly what I wanted. Okay, so anyway, long story short, yeah, I'm still addressing this comment. Made the right choice. We get along. We get along. We get along. And one of the things I did was I messaged Mark Miller and I said, check out Renzo's artwork. Look how cool he is. And then I told Renzo, full well knowing that, if Mark Miller, however you pronounce his name, wants Renzo, I can't compete with that. So, I just say, Renzo, when Mark hires you and you're a millionaire, don't forget me, And I did the same thing. I sent links to Tonic Mole's comic. I sent links to Wolf and Batsy, to Horace H. Hoover, to Mark Miller. You know what I mean? I'm not a jealous guy. You want to know when I got jealous? You get me off on a tangent over here. I'm ranting a rave. You know when I got jealous? Yesterday when I read this, because this guy writes so well. He writes so well. I was actually like jealous in a way that made me want to get better. Not that I hated him. And I went right to John Dexter and I messaged him. I said, this is written so well. I cannot stress how much I enjoyed the writing in that comic. It's a detective, dime store detective. You know what I mean? I keep saying titles and superhero names have to be descriptive. It reads like an old noir, even though it's set now. But if you like the first season of True Detective, you like that dime store detective. It's just, it's so good. I don't want to spoil it. And I got jealous. I was like, oh man, jealous in a way that made me introspective. And then I reached out to Valerie D'Orazio, if I'm saying her name right, and I asked her, since she used to be an editor for Marvel Comics, I was like, do you want to, work with me, edit my scripts? Because I noticed there's a couple of typos. Because I had people read the comic, but ultimately I edited it myself. And she was just like, it depends on my workload. And I just said, it's once, twice a year just to read my script to make sure that, whatever. But I'll reach out again when it's closer. So she didn't say yes, she didn't say no, but whatever. That's what I'm talking about. I got jealous and it made me want to improve myself, not jealous. So I'm not that guy. Like if Renzo works for Mark Miller, I'm gonna be like, wow, I helped that guy. I helped that guy. That's gonna be cool. Now I got to work with guys like Marcus, but yeah, I'm joking. So where was I? I made the right choice for Renzo. He's choosing to work with me too. Like I told the guy that got mad at me. I don't control Renzo. I'm not his puppet master. Don't you think that this behavior, well, I didn't say this, but don't you think this behavior of yelling and screaming and stalking me on Twitter and saying nasty things about me, maybe that's the reason Renzo didn't want to work with you? Call of the Mountain thing, like the Hall of the Mountain King. Yep. Okay. That's right. We're talking about a comic. All the covers are available. Heroic Tales #1. And I got to get actual numbers. I got to get actual numbers of how many comics I have left. If a person's hard to work with, word will get around. That wouldn't make Renzo. But Renzo's a saint. You don't understand. This guy glows with, we'll talk on a video phone, and he has that Mandela, like the saints. I feel like blessing myself when he shows up. We said that. Yeah, you're tough to get along with. Yeah. I was going to make a joke, but I couldn't think of anything funny to say. Some guys can't or won't tell you what they want and expect you. Yes, absolutely. It's one of my pet peeves. Absolutely. Guys, you get me on a tangent. 30 minutes that we didn't even get past the splash page. But I like this. I like the conversation, of this. Old Dirty Fatty, you're absolutely 100% right. Thank you for even saying this, because again, I'm a construction worker. I work with a foreman. The foreman will come and like, okay, this is what I want you to do. This pipe, go up here. They literally make these noises. And over there, blah, blah, blah. And then another, I don't know how this came, but Kumiseyama, they all say this. Like, okay, we're going to do this Kumiseyama. Kumiseyama just means, and then, get to the next. I know it means, how do you say this? But like, it's like an expression. Okay, so we do this and then put the Kumiseyama up here, blah, 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 blah. Okay, go. And all I know is I got to do something. So and then there's nothing worse than you spend 2 days bending pipe, threading the pipe, doing this, taking other things off, busting your chops, sweating your face off, putting these pipes up, and the guy's like, no, it's supposed to go like this. And then like, you look like a jerk and you got to take. So I always say, that doesn't mean anything to me. Explain exactly like a 2-year-old, like Denzel Washington said in Philadelphia, what you want me to do. And they get annoyed. But I want them, like, draw a picture, explain exactly what you want. And then I repeat back what I think I have to do. And you can see them getting annoyed. And then after a while, a lot of foremen will realize what I'm doing. And I always say, I'm not doing this twice. And I'd rather look like an idiot asking questions than look like an idiot spending 2 days doing the wrong thing and then another 2 days redoing it. So let's hash this out here. And then when I started writing scripts, like this is literally the first script I ever wrote. So I'm rewriting it now. It's the script to Eddie is Doomed. I'm rewriting it now because I've developed a better, more descriptive style as far as telling the artist what to do. So I would rather over-explain something than under-explain it, and then we have to do it again. I can only afford to have a page drawn once, you know what I mean? And I don't expect Renzo or Tonic Ball in this case, and Oscar in this case, to spend a whole nother day fixing because I wasn't clear, and I can't, and then I would have to pay them, and I can't afford that. So I got to be precise. You got to be precise. You got to literally draw a picture with your words. So there you go, Ren. Some guys can't all tell you what they want. Yes, I would be so upset if I'm a POA. I don't understand. What is a POA? Person of adorableness. Hey, Phantom outside a hail chat. So John's Longbar read that, and inside his head, he heard Cap Falks do better, Senator, and John. I didn't see that. I didn't watch that show. I don't watch superhero movies to get lectured. Or from Arthur 2. Where the hell is my prefabricated half-inch pipe? That's from Arthur 2. I never saw Arthur 2. Everybody saw Arthur 1. Arthur 2 on the rocks. All right. Focus. Let's get to this. You got me off on millions of tangents, but that's fine. So now we're inside the Quinjet, and Quinjet means it has 5 jets. Quin, like quintuplets. And here we got. I'm so sorry I got you into this, Wonder Man, but with Iron Man on enforced leave, see recent issues of Iron Man. Is this when is this the when Tony Stark was drunk? So we got a great lineup of Avengers over here. We got Captain Marvel, we got the Falcon, we got Captain America, Wonder Man, the Beast, and Wasp. To be honest, this isn't like a high-powered team, like it's Wonder Man is super powerful, but Captain Marvel later, Carol Danvers later becomes powerful, but right now this is a mid-level team, and I kind of like that. I don't like overpowered superheroes. It's not a lot of fun. So what are they dealing with? They're dealing with the storm. They're dealing with the storm over here, and the storm is so powerful that it's messing with the Quinjet's ability to stay on course. They can't even steer anymore. So it's magical in nature, because these Quinjets, they fly in space and everything like that. So what do? They all eject, and I love this. The Beast and Wonder Man are solid friends at this point, and he's like, I'm gonna pilot the ship. And Wonder Man's like, you ain't gonna survive. He throws his belt on him and throws him out. Boom. And I love this. Beast is zipping around, and they're trusting the Beast's superior agility. And here's Wonder Man just steadying the course, and the Quinjet just crashes. Oh my God. Do you want me to check? No, Falcon. We'll need you here. Wonder Man said he was indestructible. Let's just pray that he is. So I don't, Falcon's carrying Cap because Cap can't fly. The Wasp is, if I would say that her at this Wasp size would just get buffeted and spun, but whatever, So let's address the chat. I know. Oh, I meant pain in the ass, but I can't type. You're not a pain in the ass, Marcus. You're very talented, and if Eddie is Doomed does well, I would like to hire you for a story. I'm gonna have 28-page stories, So I want to hire a lot of people. I believe this was near one of Tony's relapses. Yes, and Iron Man killed a dignitary by accident. Oh, I vaguely remember that. You shouldn't send your A-team to every mission. It's a bad use of resources. Yeah, well, the Avengers only is the A-team, This is before, like, well, what was it, 181? 180, they cut the Avengers down from like 35 members to 7, and they had to stay at 7 members to keep like a government there's a government liaison. I did like a government clearance. That's why the Falcon joined, for like he's the DEI hire. Literally, I'm not even joking. That was, and Hawkeye, I love that Hawkeye was the reactionary. Token, what, and then now you see him, he's a hipster guy hanging out in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Totally, these people didn't read old comics. We got this. We got Toy Soldier. Oh, if all goes right, I'm gonna have a goof on this ad in the comic drawn by Fabrizio Aiello, and it's gonna be great. We were talking about it last night. So now we got, they're sneaking up on this. I love this. They transported. They took the Quinjet from New York, and now they're in. Where are they? They're in Wolf and Batsy Town, where where girls are shepherds, and they wear like Swedish hot chocolate milkmaid outfits out in the field. You know what I mean? Like they traveled into that like Hammer horror village. That like all of Eastern Europe is, from Doctor Doom's area to the High Evolutionaries area. This a horror 70s 60s horror movie Europe that we all love, where all the girls are buxom and wear frilly dresses, and have the oaks, and yodel out in the woods, and all the men look like this. So I love this. This guy specifically shoots Captain America in the back. I am Mordred, and I have come to fetch thee as disciples of the great Lord Chthon. You talk it up big, mister, but I've got a couple of words like myself. Avengers assemble, and I always love this. So he just points to the ground, and rocks just go flying at them. Swell. For a minute there, I forgot I was the new kid on the block. And he runs up, because this is like the second mission that Falcon's gone on with them. Maybe I could make an impression on these high and mighty Avengers by laying the first punch. Now darest lay hands upon the emissary of the great Lord? Blasphemer! This Mordred the Mystic. What does he do? He controls all four elements. He controls the plants. He's got that Doctor Strange magic, superhero comic book magic, which is just plot. And this I love. Beast, he lands in the snow, and what does he find? An animal-like skull with armor on. I just love that. As a kid, this was just so freaking cool to me. My heart was racing. What did he find? What did he find? Okay, so let's adjust the chat. I got so caught up in this comic. They know he's indestructible at this point. They know he's iconic even before that. He takes hit. Yes. Yeah, They know he's a government quota cap. Yep. They had to have 7 to keep government A1 priority clearance. Yes. They needed a minority. As Iron Man said, who do you think alien gods, mutants, and androids are? And then Hawkeye goes, and for that matter, superheroes. It was back when you were allowed to have discussions about stuff without being an alt-right Nazi. The government's probably worried about the Avengers becoming too powerful like the Justice League. Yeah, it's too powerful. Let's put Falcon on the team. Bring him down a notch. The Knights of Wundagore remains. And now we got... Did I skip a page? No, I did not. Comic convention. Again, if I only read the ads back then as a kid, I might have been able to get like Fantastic Four #1 for a reasonable, like, look at this old Marvel's cover price. Comic collectors, comic guide catalog, Golden State Comic. Look at all seahorses, all of this stuff. Comic book DC's list, low price comic back issue lists, and I was looking. I can't find the missing issue. It's because I was a jerk. The Johnson Smith Company. I love these ads. So now this skull looks like it came from an animal, but what kind of animal wears armor? And I love this. He's just sitting there, just thinking. And now we got Captain America just swatting the rocks away. Captain Marvel. Why am I calling Captain Marvel? It's Miss Marvel in this glorious costume. Boom. And then I love this. Thou art quite deft in avoiding my stony missiles, milady. That's what I used to say to girls in college when I was trying to hit on them. Thou art adept at avoiding my stony missile, milady. And prithee, let us see if thou art equally adept at shutting the very fire of heaven itself. So she gets hit by lightning. This I always liked. So this guy downed Falk and Miss Marvel like they were amateurs, but he's up against an old warhorse now. Who knows what a little guile could often succeed. So what's he do? He throws the shield behind him. And I love they show this curvature of the shield. And what's he do? without even looking, he has the tree grab the shield. And then Captain America planned on that. So while he turned his head slightly, he hits him in the belly. Captain America, master strategist. I freaking love that. Love that. I love a good choreographed fight. I love that. And especially when you got a team. Again, in my comic books, I'm guessing around issue 10, the team will form. And that's gonna be really tough to choreograph a fight with but I'm looking forward to the challenge. No, I did not write that script yet. I have 5 scripts written, and I'm changing them as they go because I adapted one script for the Street Cleaner. Now I got to go back to the Raven and things like that. And then Renzo asked me to change them around because he wanted what he wanted to draw, which is fine. Some of the backups doesn't matter what order they're in, but some of the backups absolutely matter what order they're in. And so now he blasts Captain America away with air, and here we got the Quinjet. I love this. So Simon Williams, wonderful. And I love how you can't see it. Wonderful. He spells it Wunner. Wonderful, not wonderful. Wonderful. I'm glad no one from the FAA saw that landing. They'd probably take away my license if I had one. But at least I'm in one piece. And now he comes out with his sideburns and hair like mine. I got to get a haircut. And he sees the conflict in the woods. Zach Dan is going to church. Those ads are about how I found out about Comic-Con. Well, Marcus, that's why you're smarter than me. I didn't read these ads. I didn't read the letters pages. I didn't read the Stan soapbox. I didn't read any of that stuff when I was a kid. The reason for the problem was, such stuff came at the team. They go lax on security. Count Nefari at 166 was super powered, smash holes in the mountain. Then they had to deal with Korvac. Yeah. Be realistic. If there was super teams like this, the government would have like some sort of agency to control them. Like, you're not going to have the Defenders just running around through your city, or the Fantastic Four launching rockets in the middle of Manhattan. You know what I mean? It's just unrealistic, but in a wonderful way. The Collector kidnapped the majority of the team, so locking down the mansion was not the highest priority. Still don't like Guy Ritchie. You're not supposed to like Guy Ritchie. You're not supposed to. Henry Guy Ritchie represents the excess lifelong government bureaucrat. He's supposed to be unlikable, and that's why he's a great character, because to me, a character is great or bad depending upon the purpose. Like what's her name? Skylar for Breaking Bad. She's a great character, because she's so unlikable, but that's like the purpose, like to the point, like the actress probably gets nasty letters from people. This is very Jim Shooter type of comics. Lots of mid shots, action and reaction in the same panel. Not too many close-ups. See, I come from it from a writer's perspective. Marcus comes from it from an artist's perspective. I gotta start thinking like that. Now we got all these ads. Bombastic Marvel book bonanza. We got what is this? An ad. What is this an ad for? Fantastic popsicle sweepstakes. This is weird. Popsicle sweepstakes. And you win a camera. I don't know why they have a TV. Oh, the illustration is representative of an exciting trip for our first prize winner. So you win this prize, they throw you into Africa with the crocodiles and the alligators and the apes and the elephants will eat your face. All right, so if we see the glow, it's not the fight, it's hands, but we already know whose hands they are. This energy effect, forgive me. This energy effect, I used to call the John Byrne effect. Back when I was 11 years old. Somewhere around my late 20s, I realized that it's the Neil Adams effect that John Byrne is kind of ripping off. But I didn't know who Neil Adams was at this point in my life. Nobody's born with all this information. That's why I'm never nasty to newbies. You know what I mean? Like, why be nasty? and she's just some sort of energy sheath carrying me off like I didn't weigh an ounce, and I can't lift a finger to stop it. Totally superfluous writing. Totally superfluous. You don't need his thoughts, but they're there because it's a comic book. You know what I mean? Like you could point, and if Wanda, no mortal, not anymore. That's it. That's all you needed. That's all you needed. But this is such Stan Lee style of just superfluous writing. Doesn't take anything away. Like would I got a question, Marcus? What do you think? Would Mike Baron get rid of these? You know, Mike Baron. I just talked with Mike Baron Friday night, and that's one of the things he said. Like, strip everything away, strip away all the extra stuff. This is totally extra, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it. That's one of the things I'm struggling with. If you read Heroic Tales, my comic, I don't feel it had enough words, and I really didn't want to add words just to add words. So what do you guys think? I got 25 people watching. I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you read Heroic Tales at this point, or at least have it. Was there enough words? Should it be more wordy? Should I add more word balloons? You know, like superfluous writing that, you know, just as the guy's picking up his coffee cup, I'm picking up my coffee cup. You know what I mean? Like total Stan Lee, Chris Claremont. Or Chris Claremont would be like, in the cold dawn morning, I refresh myself with a nice, tasty Tim Hortons coffee, which is meticulously, painstakingly brought from, you know what I mean? Like he could be a little too much. So there you go. So now we got Mordred the Mystic, you know, gloating over them, and boom, he oversaw or forgot or what's the word I'm thinking of, the Wasp. And then the Wasp over here, I just love just look at the drama in this one panel over here. Look, so first off it says, she's talking, you better tell Chiffon to make part of that order a memory course, White Eyes, because in case you haven't noticed, you forgot to win some Wasp. But I love this whole circle of energy around her whole body. That's signifying, like, again, everything comes back to role playing for me. If this was a character, what this was she multiple attacked. In villain to vigilante, you could shoot a laser beam, but you could also multiple attack. So you expend more power to do more attacks. So you could do more effort in one action, and that'll drain you. That'll, you know, it's one of the things that the players, once they start realizing, oh, I this guy's easy to hit, I could take him out right now, or I could go back and forth safely, but it's going to take longer. But I need to be elsewhere. I'm going to take him out quick. You could spend more energy and put more oomph into your blast. So this is her. She multiple attacked right here, and I just love this bulb of energy blasted him and takes him out. Boom. You forgot to win some Wasp. Alas, my dear, he did, but boom. And just look at this contortion. You know, it just looks painful. I did not. And now we have the reveal. We already knew Wanda. She's on the cover. We saw her hands over here, but now we see her pallid death face. There's something wrong. It's just so good. Curls of arcane force stream from a hand that once belonged to Wanda Frank. Yes, her name was Wanda Frank at this point. A little forgotten point. Her and Pedro, her brother, were at one point assumed to be the daughter of Bob Frank and Madeline Frank, but I think I forget what her maiden name was. The Wizard and Miss Liberty. For a little while, that's who they thought their parents were. It was a total, like a 10-year slow burn. Who the parents of Wanda and Pedro are now? As far as I know, is it still Magneto? Did they change it? Is Magda still her mother? It was such a slow, rewarding payoff that it just bothers me to think that they changed it. So now she zaps all of the defeated Avengers. And who's that? That's Django Maximoff, the adopted parents of, so this is her parentage. As far as I know, Magneto was at this point in history, Magneto was her true father. But Magneto got Magda pregnant. Magda fled. She was found by the High Evolutionary. She gave twins. Magneto was a piece of crap who abandoned the girl, Magda, and left her because she was human or whatever. And she gave birth on Wundagore Mountain, midwifed by Bova, the human cow. And at the same time, Jessica Drew's father was at Wundagore Mountain. He was a geneticist, and that's where Spider-Woman came from. And at the same time, Miss Liberty or Liberty Lady, I forget her name, Miss America maybe. Miss America, yes. They went there because their first child was a horrible mutation called Nucleo. And they went there to deal with the birth of Nucleo, and they hid Nucleo from them and gave them Wanda and Pedro because Magda died in childbirth, and swapped it out. So the Wundagore people kept Nucleo and then gave them the wrong kids, and then I forget what happened. They rejected them, or they found out that there weren't their kids, took Nucleo, and then since Wanda and Pedro didn't have, they gave them to Django, Maximoff to raise. So they thought they were Maximoff. Then they discovered that they were, but then they all, it's the old soap opera story, so complicated. And before I turn the page, let's see. Wow, a lot of comments. Thank you. He's giving exposition. I can't escape, even though I'm really strong. Yeah. Remember, any comic is someone's first comic. Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope that would be so cool that issue number 2 of Heroic Tales is somebody's first comic. I hope that issue number 1 is somebody's first comic. That's the way that it grows. I haven't had time to read mine yet, but it's the top of the read pile. Okay, let me know how you look. Let me know. Overlook. Don't overlook my hurts my feelings. Baron will probably take those thought bubbles out. Yeah, that's my thought too. Sometimes, don't tell Mike. Sometimes I wish he would put more writing into his comic. It's all about storytelling. If it didn't serve the story, then what's it doing? Does this serve the story? It's kind of redundant. I'm picking up my coffee cup. Show don't tell. Sometimes both. Remember that at this point, the Wasp now is a bioelectric sting that could level a small building depending upon the intensity. Yes, absolutely. She has like some sort of power blast built in. Sometimes I think the character thinking about what's happening adds the story. Me too. I'm of that thought too. I agree. They thought her and Quicksilver were the kids of Madeline Pryor. That's her name. I couldn't remember her name. Madeline Pryor and Bob Frank. Miss America and the Wizard. Yes. See, Magneto and Magda had the twins. Magda went to Wundagore Mountain. Miss America gave birth to Nucleo and died in childbirth. Right. That's right. Magda died in childbirth, and Miss America died in childbirth. And Bob Frank, the Wizard, was so overcome with grief he ran away, making him a piece of shit too, who abandoned his kids. Now I have to not like the Wizard. I always liked the Wizard. I forgot about that. So the High Evolutionary gave his kids to Magda and Miss America both died in childbirth. They gave the twins to Wizard, but when he found out his wife died, he ran off of grief, but he never came back. So High Evolutionary gave the kids to a gypsy couple because there was a thing in the 50s Europe. Yeah, and they were an old couple who were like praying for children, kind of thing. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for succinctly. Hey, Duck Bacon's here. How you doing, Duck Bacon? Made me hungry for bacon, but not so much duck. Never ate duck. I heard it's greasy. I heard it's good, though. So now Wanda is telling her story. Exposition, filling in everybody. That's what we got to do. And you can see, again, that the edges are rounded, indicating a break in time. This is just like comic book shorthand that you need to know. And it's explaining everything that's going on. Ever since the day years ago when I first subscribe the Darkhold Words of Fire. My sister and I formed. Wait a minute. She's possessed by Chithon. My sister and I were the last of the earth spirits who formed this fertile sphere, yet we were to be disposed by the newer gods. However, even spirits shun death. While I fled the nether plane, leaving the Darkhold to provide a gateway for my eventual return. And so my sister infused her essence into all living things, surviving in a legend as Mother Earth. So Mother Earth and Chithon. Throughout the years, my indestructible tome endured being used by the mystic, not mystic. So this is the origin of the Darkhold, which is like the mystical spirit, mystical stories of this dark primordial god Chithon. So the Sumerians, the Assyrians, and later the Romans, and now we got Morgan Le Fay got the hold of the book, and I'm beyond the control of any foolish mortal. When the Darkholders learned their error, they tried to banish me back to the Netherland, but they were successful, only imprisoning me in the mountain that was later to be called Wundagore. So this is Wundagore. Wundagore is like, supposedly in Marvel Comics, there's like 3 places where you could find vibranium, and each species of vibranium or isotope of vibranium has different properties. You got the Wakanda vibranium that is just good for super science. You have the Savage Land vibranium that I remember that is like the anti-metal. It causes other metals to break down. And then you got the Wundagore mountain that is just like, I guess, good for super science and radioactive clay for the, so many, like the Puppet Master. He gets clay from Wundagore Mountain to control people. So that's like the 3 natural strains of vibranium: Wakanda, the Savage Land, and Wundagore. And I love that where this vibranium is, and I think they were originally like meteors. They're just like places of horror and mysticism and anomalies. I just love that. Again, don't you love all the lore and all the niggling little details and connecting the dots? I love that. And that's what I love about Marvel Comics. DC, I can't get into. I like the characters of DC, but the lore of DC changes every 5 years. They reboot and everything. And it just makes me not connect with it at this level. But like, I'm so glad that Henry Cavill said that he loves, like, when he gets into a nerdy thing, he loves all the lore and the details and connecting the dots of this. Like, there's got to be a word for that. I love that. That's what I love about Marvel Comics. As much as I love the characters, it didn't dawn on me till like maybe 3 or 4 months ago that that's what I love, is the whole continuity. I'm a fan of connecting the dots and everything like that. And that's when I quit Marvel, when they stopped doing the continuity, before even the identity politics. There was always identity politics to some extent in Marvel and DC, but I kind of ignored it because I was such a fan of this gossamer web of connecting the dots and everything. And that's why, like, I kind of replaced around 2015. Like, I've always been a Tolkien fan, but when I quit Marvel, it's when I picked up the Silmarillion and read it for the first time, and I kind of replaced that nerdy, genealogy and stuff. But I always did it with Greek mythology. I always did it with Norse mythology, and those work to a lesser extent, because it's thousands of years told by different people without a Jim Shooter. But I love all of that. This is the kind of stuff I could talk about. This Wundagore, it's just so fun. And people who say it's intimidating and daunting, I can understand that. And you could read comic books and enjoy them without all of that. But it's the people who are working in Marvel, they don't care about this. They don't know about it. They don't like it. And they kind of despise all that. Like, I keep seeing on Twitter every once in a while, like, is canon important? Like James Gunn right now, canon's not important. Then you're not a fan. You're not a fan if you don't think canon is important. That's what makes you a fan, is when you know all of these little things. Like like Marcus knows baseball, just as much as he knows comics. The stats and records and numbers. Does that not mean anything in baseball? I think a baseball fan would laugh at you if stats don't matter, records don't matter, the history of the teams don't matter. It's just who's playing right now matters. Then you're not a baseball fan. But anyway, I digress. I'll adjust the chat after I'm done with this page. So now we got Madrid gets the book. The book goes down to Cagliostro, and then finally Gregor Rusov, who cursed with his own name. And then, this ties into Werewolf by Night. I just love all of these magical threads that are tied, and it's just so much fun. And then finally, to finance his dark pursuits, Rusov sold part of his estate, which included the mountain in which I was imprisoned. The scientist buyers found uranium there and used that wealth to build Wundagore. And now I puzzle at the strange magic called science that turned animals into men above me. For a time considered using these new men as my pawns, but Morgan Le Fay's renegade follower, blah, blah, blah. So we got the High Evolutionary, and then here we got the Knights of Wundagore fighting this demon that's imprisoned in this mountain, and this mountain contains vibranium and uranium, and it's just so much fun. I love all this nerdy stuff. I love this little scene over here. We got the High Evolutionary, a character that I absolutely love. I love the High Evolutionary, just firing bolts at this demonic force with these atomic powered mutated animal beings. And then we got Russo over here using his magic that he acquired. It's just fun. It's just fun. And if you don't care about all these details, then you don't. I take that back. I walk that back. You could pick up the average Spider-Man comic and just enjoy Spider-Man beating up a mugger, or a Fantastic Four exploring the negatives. I take that back. You can, but if you're at the point where you want to do it for a living and you want to make movies, you gotta get into all of this. Like the Creature Commandos. I don't want to watch it now because in his very first interview, he's like, what's canon, James Gunn? You're starting your reign by saying what's canon doesn't matter. But I guess I'm out. So there you go. Let's address all of the chat. Wow, a lot of stuff. Gotta go back up. Where was I? Duck Bacon. So much for a good rating on that Wundagore Mountain healthcare plan. I know. Two births, 2 deaths. Hey, we got Brian Urso. How you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. Love this issue. Scarlet Witch goes apeshit on the Avengers. Yep. But it's Chthon possessing her. Clifford Johnson, new name. Wasn't Miss America's maiden name Joyce? Yeah, Madeline Joyce. Or Madeline Pryor. Yeah, Madeline Joyce. Pryor is, yes, you're absolutely right. Her name was Madeline Joyce. That's why I said Joyce originally back. My tongue slipped. Good morning, all. Wish I could watch along, but the wife is hosting book club here. I'm in honeydew hell. Well, you can watch it later, buddy. You can watch it later. So Chthon is Thor's aunt, as the Earth Spirit Gaia is Thor's real mom. Yes. In the comic books, isn't Frigga Thor's mother? But in Norse mythology, his mother is Mother Earth. Njord, is that her name? J, whatever. That's because Odin is the Sky Father, and here's the Earth, and lightning goes between them. So it's like metaphorical. Good point. Marvel always seemed more grounded in our own reality. Yeah, animal knights and demonic beings. Well, I think you're talking about the government agencies. Chthon is a terrible aunt. Thor is over 2,000 years old and never got one birthday. Oh, Chthon is a terrible aunt. Thor is over 2,050 and never got a birthday card with $5 from it. Yeah, we're establishing that Chthon is evil. Records and stars mean a lot in baseball. Absolutely. Could you imagine a guy telling you? Stats. That's the word I couldn't think of. Could you imagine if who cares about stats and records? I'm a baseball fan, but I don't care about stats. Then you're not a baseball fan. If you don't care about continuity, you're not a comic book fan. Yawn. What was that, Marcus? So in this canon, Wanda and Quicksilver are related to Polaris, since Chthon put it in essence the Thor being married to Vision. They're related to human. Yes, yes. I actually drew up a genealogy of Pedro and Maximoff, tying them to Wonder Man, to the Grim Reaper, to the Inhumans. I wish I still had that, but there you go. I'm loving all of these comments. Since Ultron created Vision, they're related to the Pims as well. Yep, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I love all this. Heroic Tales, get my comic book. I promise to be a continuity nut job. Hey, Dave, how you doing? Greetings. How you doing? How's everything? You're up early, right? It's early for you. Got it confused with Jean Grey's clone. Ooh. Oh, Madeline. That's Madeline Pryor. Yes, Madeline Joyce is Miss America. Madeline Pryor is Cyclops' first wife. Yep. Get these comics. I highly recommend these comics. Dave Brink, this gentleman right here, it was his comic that I did last week, the Perfect 10. Oops. Okay, so I guess he did the wrong link. And everybody's saying hello. All right, so let's turn the page. Jeez, an hour and 15 minutes. So now we got chicks worrying about being too skinny, because 1979 was a totally different place. And now we got the letters page. And again, I didn't read this. I did not read this as a kid. And now I'm looking at this. This is a reaction to Kurt Busiek's letter in 183. So see, this is why I love the letters page now. And you're going to see another cool thing. So this letter by Bruce McCulkindale is a reaction to Kurt Busiek's letter in issue 183. Kurt Busiek is later becomes the writer for the Avengers and writer for Astro City and writer for so many other comics. You know, this is comic lore. And when you slab your comic and then buy reprints, you don't see this. You don't get to read this. You don't get to experience this. And then, as if that's not enough, here we got a letter from Cat Ironwood, one of the most important people in comics that most people don't realize. She was the editor-in-chief of Eclipse Comics. She was one of my early interviews. I'm so proud that I got to talk with her. She hired Chuck Dixon. She wrote the book of Ashanti when she was like 16 years old. It was like a nerdy continuity, tying all the dots together, use of all the magic words in Doctor Strange comics. And then she wrote it and she like distributed it at early conventions. It got to the hands of the Marvel editors, and then they used it as a behind the scenes guide to how Doctor Strange's magic worked. You know, this is a person who got comics. This is great. You slab your comic. Oh, I read the omnibus. That's great. But you didn't read Cat Ironwood's work. You didn't read this discussion between Kurt Busiek and other fans. It's so much fun. You could see this. I think I put up tracing paper, and this is like I was scratching and stuff like that someplace else. And we got more ads. Poem set to music. Look at that. Learn law enforcement. And now I love this. So here's poor Madeline Joyce, or giving birth. No. This is Magda giving birth. And as she's giving birth, there's a storm outside and there's energy being reflected. So Pedro's over here, but Wanda absorbed this, reflected from this mixture of uranium and vibranium, you know, because being a mutant's not enough. Now she's reflected and it's showing her powers. Here's Agatha Harkness over here. I love this costume. It's just so great. Mordred being a creep. Mordred using his powers to free Chthon, and now Chthon possesses. Look at that face. Just look at that face. Just so good. I think it's the tiny pupils. It's the tiny pupils that just make it so demonic looking. You know, my lord, something approacheth. Something approacheth. I'm going to say that from now on. Whenever anybody comes to my door, I could see him on the ring. I'm going to go to my wife, honey, something approacheth. And then she'll get annoyed with me. What? A Knight of Wundagore. So I love this. Where'd this Knight of Wundagore coming on this metallic steel? And he just stabs the book. That disrupts the ritual long enough. Mordred reacts, and then right in the throat. Oh my god, that just hurts. Do you ever get hit in the throat? Just thinking about that hurts. Oh my god, Captain America ain't kidding around. Just take out Mordred. Nice going, Beast. Your flashy entrance provided distraction. You tricked me for that. So you can see the color. What do we got there? Surprise, surprise, surprise. We got the Beast wearing the armor. We got get more of these comics. Super Fun Factory. Who is messaging me? And that Quicksilver. Whoop. You shall do nothing but punish you, monster. We shall do nothing but punish you, monster. Punishing you for despoiling the body of my sister. Boom. And look at that face. Yes, hurt me. It'll only make the pain of your chastisement that much sweeter. And then we got poor Django. Oh, Anna, my child, I want to help you so much. But what can an old man do? My heart races. Oh, the doll. Because if only. So this is a little puppet that he made. Yes, it's just like the Puppet Master's doll, and this is a story that has been building up too. So what is this doll? It's actually holding the real spirit of Wanda. So Wanda, Papa, Mateo, your sister, the doll. So my heart, poor old guy. So Wanda's real soul is in this doll, made in the same manner as the Puppet Master's doll. He's like, what? What's going on? I love this. The doll is reaching out. He said that others had used his dolls. I pray this won't work. With all of his will, Pedro Strange again to exchange his sister's soul for, So he's picking up the doll and he's holding the doll. Look at this doll. Of course, Marvel, your will is weak, but I don't mind. So now Wanda's body is possessed by Chithon. This doll is hosting Wanda's soul. But weak souls taste lovely. I love this. She's burning out the body. I'm sorry, Wanda, I failed you. No, Pedro. The power of unity. So now they're going to Captain Planet this. They're all touching and using their will, battling Chithon. No. And in the process, save the world. I just love this. This is freaking comic books. This is freaking comic books. And I just realized I got so excited I've been ignoring the chat. So thanks, Marcus. Anytime, Dave. I'd love to help. I'm just curious. I did your comic last week, and I said if anybody buys it because of this video, just let Dave know. Did anybody buy your comic because they saw my video? I love reading the letters pages as a kid. Yeah, I didn't read them. I didn't read at 11 years old. So I was in 6th grade. So I was full on reading at this point. I have no excuses. I like the letter pages too. It's a shame the crowdfunding model doesn't really work well for something like that. Would be cool to. Well, check out my comic there, Dave. And if you like it, Marcus, could you put in heroicmails@yahoo.com? Right? Email me to that, and I'll put it in the letters page. The brilliant John Byrne. Absolutely. Sounds like Sylvester the Cat. Yeah, approacheth. Oh, we got the link for Apex Comics Fembat. There you go. There's another campaign to check out. Check that out. Such mastery expressed through Byrne. Always phenomenal. Absolutely. Apex is thanking everybody. So Chithon is an elder spirit lost to 6-year-old Avengers showing. Yeah. Check out my toy, Chithon. Check out my toy. Yes, sir. Brian bought the first issue after Steve. He even picked the rare first printing. He got one of the last copies. Cool. Selfishly, I want people to buy top. I keep saying top 5 because my comic will be the top 10. Perfect 10 because I want it to continue. And the only way to be selfish is to promote the comics so that Dave makes more comics. Yeah. I make no bones about it. I want there to be. Who was I just talking to last night? I was talking to somebody in chat saying, I could look at my phone, but you don't want to see me looking through my phone. I was chatting with somebody through DMs that it makes no sense all this infighting. Like I want what we do to be a party where everybody's invited, not a clique where you have to be asked to join. There's a difference. Like a party, da da da, we're all partying, and another, hey, come on in, da 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 da. You know, that's a fun party. That's what I want this to be. More people, the better. I want Dave's comic to do good, Apex Comics to do good. I want Marcus to make his comic. You know, it just makes it so much better. And if more people see genuine comics, it helps me in the long run too. You know what I mean? Because they're going online and checking out comics. Like I got into Sonic Youth in the 80s, and I was obsessed with Sonic Youth for a good 2-3 years. And Sonic Youth, what's his name, Thurston Moore, talked about how much he loved the Velvet Underground. So here it is. I don't even know when in the early 80s, what year it is. So I'm like, Velvet Underground. And then another band talked about the Velvet. So I was, let me get the Velvet Underground. Now I love Velvet. Oh, this is Lou Reed. I didn't know Lou Reed was in them. Now I'm obsessed with the Velvet Underground, because I got into one band, got me into another band, got me into another. That's the way I think comic books. I hate this infighting and jealousy and whatever. Heroic Males, yes. If you want to, if you read issue 1 and you liked it, even if you didn't like it, I don't want to be, an echo chamber. Write a letter. Talk about something, and send it to this email address, and I will compile them and put them in letters pages. I want my comic to be as much like these comics as possible, and that includes the letters page. To be fair, it was an action figure created with old world workmanship and wood from Wundagore Mountain that's infused with Chithon's magic and vibranium. Well said. Well said. That's exactly what it is. And it houses Wanda's soul. Don't forget that. That's the key ingredient. It houses Wanda's real soul. The infighting is pushing people away. It's stupid. Just talk about it, DM, and be an adult. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely 100%. 100%. 100%. So here we have everybody over here. And then we got Giant Man, Warriors of the Shadow Realm. This is really weird. This is like a part of my personality that I didn't know I had. I got exposed to Warriors of the Shadow Realm before Tolkien, and I was like obsessed with the concept of these dark riders and these shadow riders. So my friend was like, "Oh, they're ripping off Lord of the Rings," and that's how I got into Lord of the Rings, from being kind of fascinated with these ads. But I never read the comics. Well, I finally got them. They're sitting right here, and I haven't read them. They've literally been sitting here for 10 months, and like I pick them up and I look, and I'm like, I don't want to read them. What if they're bad? What if they're bad? Like, I kind of want them to be a mystery, but that's just silly, isn't it? We got 2 big hits, Hostess Cupcakes. And now we got the Captain Planeting. They're all using the power of love. Look at my action figure. Look at my action. It used to be mint in box, and now you took it out, and now I can't sell it on eBay. And she's like, ha ha ha. And it forces her soul out of the body. It switches into, so Wanda goes back to her body. Chithon goes into the action figure. Quicksilver, quick is his name, throws it into a pit, and then Wanda just uses her hex power. I just get so mad when people don't understand how her power works. And boom, there's a volcanic eruption. No, this can't happen. I'm Chithon. And boom, she's now trapped again under the earth where she was at the beginning. And it, like Wundagore Mountain, for the combinations of magic, vibranium, uranium, plot, is like the only place where she could be trapped. Chithon could be trapped. So not, and I keep saying she, but Chithon is like a true genderless spirit that created before there was the concepts of male and female. So in this particular case, she is non-binary, but whatever. I'm being facetious. So now, yes, Pedro, Django Maximoff saved our life by giving his own heart that never stopped loving us. How emotional, man. I just got verklempt. So poor old Django, he saved the world, all it cost him was his heart, figuratively and literally. He loved his adopted children, and he wanted to bring them back and make them safe. That's what kicked off this whole story. He wasn't a bad guy, and he died saving his daughter. You know, it's really touching. So now we cut to them burying Django. I love the Beast in this armor with the book still on the spear. I would love to see Beast a couple more issues at least wearing this armor, you know, acting out this Knight of Wundagore. Here's Bova. Bova was a real cow, a regular cow that was evolved by the magic science of the High Evolutionary, and the High Evolutionary made her like she just has like these bovine instincts of like motherliness. So she raises all the children, she raises the knights until they're old enough to be on their own. And now she's taken over Mordred, who lost his mind, and he's like a childlike innocent. You know, let's go home. And I love this. He has the dark hold on a spear. It's just so cool. And then Finn. You know, and here we go. My father gave me a sports file, 24 sports cards. So here you go. Marcus, did you get these? Sports facts and files? There you go, Marcus. A Daisy 840. Shoot your eye out, kid. You know, different time. And then we got the prizes. This is just a great comic. Oh my God. It's just, this is Shakespeare to me. Is it any wonder I am the way I am? Look at this amazing freaking comic. It's so good. It's so good. And I haven't read this in 30 years, and it all came back to me. I didn't reread this to prepare. I just went to pick. The storytelling was so good that it reactivated my mind, and I remembered the story details. It's just so good. So good. Let's get back to the chat. I kind of got carried away. Apex Comics. Infighting and jealousy are completely stupid. We can't all get along by having a live stream promoting everyone who has a project. Yeah. I'm a weirdo. I actually like to promote people. There's a couple. I do have standards. A few people I felt really bad. I don't want to promote this because it just looked bad. But I didn't want to do the oh, this is great, and then to turn my back on them and attack the comics. You all know who I'm talking about. So you know, a few people said, you know, I'll talk to you about comics, and you could bring up your, but I'm not going to tell people to buy it. You know, and I think they understood, like amateurish manga stuff. I just don't like it. Not that I don't want to promote it. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But anyway, yes. I never really liked the Scarlet Witch's ability. She could basically do anything. Thus therein lies the problem, and thus therein I'm reacting to it with issue 2 of Heroic Tales with Mary Sue. Mary Sue is my Scarlet Witch, because I thought like I don't think I need to explain to Dave Brink. He gets superhero comics better than most people. But the Scarlet Witch's power is she causes the improbable to happen. Now, she could point at you. If she likes you, something good could happen. If she doesn't like you, something bad could happen. That's it. That's it. She doesn't fire laser beams. She doesn't cast spells. I know they're making her a spellcaster now, but originally, as Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created her, she was, you know, it was like she called it a hex. You know, she'd point to the milk and the milk curdles, things like that. She didn't control it. So she would point to you, and if you were in a fight, you would bang your head. You know what I mean? She was like a distracting nuisance at first. And then later on, she got a little bit of refinement of her powers, and she could guide. Like here, she knew that there was volcano stuff like this. So the improbable was the volcanic eruption. She kind of guided that to happen. And I like that. I like that. The improbable, she can cause, you know, a probability from it can't be 0% because that's impossible. She can't just point at you and you turn into a chicken. That's impossible. But she could point at you and you can have a heart attack. That's possible. I don't care how strong you are. That's possible. It is possible to fall down. It is possible for a water main break. You know, the improbable happens. I love that. And it's difficult. It's difficult to write. It's so difficult to write that most people don't bother to do the research and come up with clever uses of a very unique, very interesting power. I love Scarlet Witch as created by Stan and Jack, you know. And Beast is like, I'm keeping that. Yeah, he should have. He should have. If he was a player in my game, they were like, I'm keeping this armor. She has Deus Ex Machina powers. Um, yes and no. Like, yes, they give it to her, but she's not supposed to have them. And let's be realistic. Most spellcasters in comic books have Deus Ex Machina powers, or as I call it, plot powers. I'm working on a magician character who's my friend Jimmy's has been playing this character called Richard Dante for 15 years in my game. And I'm not even joking. It took him 7 years real time before a character who was a superhero magician, he was a Doctor Strange, could even cast a spell. It was a 7-year quest for him to learn and understand magic. So I want to take this character, such a interesting, convoluted history. And if you're interested, you could go to www.villainsandvigilantesforum.com and click on the Age of Aquarius and learn all of his ins and outs of his story. It's amazing. It's so good. Jimmy has such great characters. He has this cowboy character called Red O'Grady that it is the most novel-worthy character of any of my role-playing games. Just this poor he's the original redheaded stepchild. Jimmy loves his role-playing. But anyway, I digress. So one of the failings of magic powers is that it's magic. You don't have to explain it. It kind of works with Doctor Strange, but Scarlet Witch is not supposed to be the Deus Ex Machina, It's supposed to be the improbable happens. And that is a difficult power, and it takes cleverness, and that's why she got ruined, because we have non-clever people writing these characters. I love Bova. Me too. I always thought Bova was an interesting character. I had a Daisy. We all did back then. We all had, and I literally, I didn't shoot my eye out, but I Ricochet came and hit me in the shoulder. I was like, ooh, that hurt. Could have just as easily been my eye. I love everybody saying hello to each other. Hey, Levi Skeen, good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Byrne is a master of his craft. Absolutely. John Byrne and Alan Moore are my two holy grails to get as guests on my channel. I would just freaking love them. Hey, Dale, how you doing? I can't believe, Dale, I can't believe I only started following you on Twitter like 2 days ago. I just assumed that I was following you. I didn't get those, but I did order the Stratomatic baseball hand, played it for years. Oh, that is like the original fantasy baseball, right? Is that like where you had the stats and everything, or is that the no, that's the football game with the vibrating field that was just insanely stupid. But yes, there was a Stratomatic baseball game that like it updated every year, and you got like a newspaper that gave you stats, and you made your own teams. It was fantasy baseball before fantasy baseball. I'm a fan of that stuff. I find it really, really fun. Marcus, if you ever, man, if Marcus has invited me to stay at his house for a comic convention. If I ever do get the free time and can do it, you got to remind me to bring a board game called Bottom of the Ninth. It's a baseball board game, and it comes with baseball cards, and it has all the stats on the baseball cards, and you assemble a team, and you play baseball. We got to play. I cannot think of any. I played it once with my wife. She wasn't interested, and I played it once with this a friend of mine who just didn't get it, and he just did things at random, and it just drove me nuts. But I would love to play this baseball game with you, Marcus. I can't think of anybody who would enjoy it more than you. What's funny is Miss Marvel and Falcon had a real highlight in the book. Had no real highlight in the book. Yeah. Richard Meyer of Diversity in Comics and Comics Matter, at his height, he always said this thing that every character should shine in a comic book. In a team book, it's kind of tough to do. Captain America, he kind of shined. Wonder Man had that whole crash in the ship. It was cool. The Beast showing up as the Wonder God Knight, that was freaking awesome. Quicksilver, finding the doll and But you're right. Miss Marvel and Falcon really didn't wow the Avengers. I'm trying to think if Falcon ever really wowed the Avengers because he was forced onto the team for DEI and then really didn't shine. He really didn't do anything. Yeah, you're right. I want, but Miss Marvel did, but not in this issue. You're absolutely right. I love the witches, Scarlet Witch. Yeah, it's a great costume. It's a great costume. Who would win between Scarlet Witch and Domino? That is a good. That is a good. It's clobbering time. I'm not going to answer it now. I'm going to put that in the file for it's clobbering time. Bring that up. Bring that up. That is good. That is a good one. She rarely pointed it at people she liked as having. She rarely pointed at people she liked. Anything might happen. Yeah. Originally, she had no control over it. I don't mind her having a little bit of control over it. You know, I don't mind that. Just that's like the difference between expertise. You know what I mean? And rookie. Once she got training, it helped her control natural things as well. Yep. Yep. Richard Dante, mystical master. You know what's funny? You talk about Richard Dante, my friend Jimmy's magic character is he still doesn't have a superhero name. So I gave him a superhero name, and he doesn't have a costume. He doesn't. He's that rare character that just goes by. He goes by Dick Dante because he likes the alliteration. So Dick Dante. He started out as a holistic healer who did like Reiki and used like New Age medicine to treat people, and became like a master of the mystic arts. But for the purposes of the comic book, he's got to be a superhero. So I gave him a superhero name, a costume, a symbol, and everything like that. And I sent it to Jimmy to approve. So Jimmy, if you're watching, you know, what do you think? Here's the thing. Usually when she's captured, they tie her hands behind her to keep her from gesturing and blind her so she can't. Yeah. That's, she's got a gesture, and, and that's kind of how people made it like magic spell casting. Oh, Marcus. Villainsandvigilantesforum.com, heroic tales. Yes, that'll take you to my forum. It's a little wonky. The whole forum crashed, and my friend Paul, the co-administrator, who also has a V&V characters, I'll talk about that in the letters page next issue of who played what characters. All my friends got mad that I didn't include any of their characters in issue 1 because I didn't think I had the right to show. So issue 2, I showed Mike and Paul's characters, and I didn't show any of Jimmy's characters, but Jimmy's characters will, I think issue 4 will have a story all by itself. So I'll more than make up for that. So you could go there and you can read all about this. We're going to try to do a massive update. My friend Paul just had surgery on his shoulder, so he's out of commission for a little bit. And what I would like to do is just update the whole thing is into the Longbox Comics forum and my store website and things like that. So in January, I might launch the campaign for issue number 2. So that'll get priority. And if that goes well, then it might be a whole like update of everything Longbox Comics. Where are we? Scarlet Witch, as she was trained in hand-to-hand combat. Yes, I love that. I there was an issue of the Fantastic Four where you saw Sue Richards being trained by Iron Fist. If you're a superhero and you're not trained in fighting, you're really doing yourself a disservice. So I love that because every 6th issue you lose your powers or you're in a nullifying booth and stuff like that. So if you got pointy powers, as Jim Shooter used to say, it really behooves you to get some combat training. I love when they do that. I love in the DC that they had a Richard Dragon train Batman, and then Wildcat. You trained like all of the superheroes in boxing. I just find that, and yes, I have a Wildcat type character that is the old brawler that trained people. I have so many stories and characters that I want to introduce, and he's got such a great name and a great story. I don't want to say it yet. I got to introduce these characters. Matter of fact, he's going to show up in issue 3, but you don't know it. You don't know it. You don't realize that he shows up. Dante seems like a magician. Yeah, Jimmy. If you're watching, Jimmy, say hello. He's on a cruise right now. But Dick Dante, he when you play my role playing game, Villains and Vigilantes, uh, I won't let you play a magician character as your first character because I have really complicated rules for magic. And yes, they're inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, and because half my life is inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. So Jimmy had a couple of characters, and then he was just like, I think I want to explore these complicated rules. Just like me, Jimmy loves all the minutia and continuity. So we play, if nobody else is around, like if me, Paul, and Mike, they're like my hardcore team. If they're around, we play superheroes. But then like Paul has kids, Mike has young kids. He's my age with young kids. Mike has the Marshall Strong character who also did that comic, Marshall Strong, over with Dan Sen's Argo Comics, Thunder Zone. But so Jimmy would show up a lot. It would just be me and him, and then we would, he would run Dick Dante, and we just crazy stories. He went to the future. He went outside the universe. We just explored so much stuff. He explored other dimensions, and and then back in time. It's just so much fun. He did like science fictiony stuff through magic. I love this character, and I wish I could, if I could encompass like 10% of all the stuff that this character did, it would be so much fun. So yeah. And then I had another group for a while, a group of youngins. They were like in their 20s and 30s, and we had a falling out over politics when COVID happened. And I will be using, matter of fact, one of their characters debuts in issue 3. I'll be using their characters as a team. That I don't even want to tell you the name of the team because then I'm gonna have to change it. But yes, I digress. Who is calling me? Okay, someone's calling me. I'll call him back later. Okay, imagine Dante wearing a suit and a trench coat and demonstrating power. At one point, yes. At one point, yes. At most of the time, he just tries to be as inconspicuous as possible. That's like his survival technique, because he literally had like 4 hit points. He was on a team with Magnum, Paul's character Magnum, who has something like 600 hit points and could lift like 200 tons, and then next to him is Dick Dante with 4 hit points, who with a punch he did 1 die 4, but he did magic. Heroic Tales 2 next year, kids. Yes. I asked, Renzo and I were talking this week about realistically when, I don't want to make a promise that I can't deliver. Renzo is done with the Mary Sue story. It's being colored as we speak. Then I'm going to rewrite the dialogue, and I'm going to rewrite the dialogue and have it lettered. So Mary Sue will be completely done before we launch the campaign. And I want them to have the cover and at least 5 pages of the patriarch story done before we launch, so we can, show off some art. Isn't there a black cat character that also causes black luck? That causes my mouth to mumble. Isn't there a black cat character that also causes bad luck for others? Making a 3-way. Yeah, Black Cat from Black Cat is another one that's weird. Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. She was a cat burglar. She was like Marvel's answer to Catwoman. But then she had bad luck powers, but then it turned out to be a trick like Mysterio. And now I think she does have bad luck powers. I kind of forget the continuity. Does anybody know? Does she have powers? Is she a mutant? Or is it a trick like Mysterio? Hey, Apex. I love when people talk with, it's like Superman, but he relied on his powers even after a few lessons by Ali. Ali still kicked his butt. Yeah. And there was a great story. I forget if it was in Elseworlds or not, but all the Justice League lost their powers. And they had to fight. And Batman just was like thriving, and it inspired Superman to actually learn how to fight. Like I love the idea that Superman fights like a barroom brawler because he's so strong. He never needed to learn technique, and same with Wonder Man. Wonder Man started learning. They showed it in a couple of issues after this. They started training with Captain America to actually learn how to fight, because Wonder Man, like Superman, just boom, nothing withstood him. Not like Ben Grimm is like the greatest barroom brawler in the world. Ben Grimm doesn't use karate and kung fu. He just comes in and plows you. So Wonder Man started fighting people in his strength class and realized he needed more technique. I love that. That's so cool. Like when Captain America trains Tony. Yeah, again, I love that. Even Jarvis took out a much bigger opponent due to Cap's training. Yep, yep. Who would win, Jarvis versus Alfred? I guess most of us in the chat are intrigued by Dick. Yeah, I got to tell Jimmy to watch this. I don't think he's watched this. I got to tell him that we spent half the video talking about his character. Now, I prefer Felicia Hardy to actually. I do too. I like it better too. To me, it's weird to say this, but it's unrealistic to have her set up like she's going to guide Spider-Man to an area that she has booby trapped. Spider-Man can go wherever he wants. You know what I mean? And if Spider-Man goes there and he spider senses go off, he leaves. You know, and then after you find, she's just booby trapping area, boobies. We talk about Felicia Hardy and talk about boobies. You know what I mean? So yeah, her having powers I like better. You know, there's also Shamrock who has poltergeist. Yes, I forgot about Shamrock. You're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. I love the Avengers. Yeah, great Jarvis story. I like what you say, Queens Marksbury rules, and the guy goes, "This ain't Queens, this is the Bronx." I always remember that line. Black Cat used the super soldier serum like her father did. She shouldn't really be a mutant, but then again, yeah, I like Kurt Busiek just said on Blue Sky, like Namor. They said Namor is a mutant because he had the wings. So then, how does Namorita and Namor? You know, there's a species of it. Stop with the mutant stuff. Mutant was Stan Lee being lazy, and Stan Lee even admitted it. I don't like the mutants. I'm not going to say that there aren't mutants in my comics, but you know, there are going to be some people born with powers, but like it's not going to be like Marvel. You know, it's an overused trope, and I don't like the X-Men anymore. I just don't like the X-Men anymore. When she got her powers back, Black Cat had made a deal with Kingpin and got treatments which created powers. Yeah, that's kind of what I remember. Dick Dante and Patriarch team up in Heroic Tales number 3. No, the Raven. Heroic Tales number 3. Heroic Tales number 2 has a story called Subterranean Homesick Blues for the Patriarch, and it has Mary Sue Endless Possibilities. That's number 2. That's in the bag. That's already happened. Number 3 is going to have the origin of the Patriarch. I think by issue 3, people will be invested enough to actually care about the origin. And then it's going to have a story called Let's Save the Dinosaurs. No, it's going to have the introduction of the Raven. Yes, it's going to have the 4. It's going to have the Patriarch meeting the Raven, which is continuing his origin and revealing some, and then the backup story will have I don't want to give you the name of the character, but it's going to be a time traveling story that may or may not have Dick Dante in it. I'll leave it at that. And then issue number 5 is going to have a story called Dungeon Crawl with the Patriarch and his family. It's going to be a family centric issue with the Patriarch, and then the backup story is going to have I think that issue is either going to be, I think that's going to be the Captain Atlas issue, the story of Captain Atlas. So that, but everything's subject to change. And then I would like to have the return of Mary Sue. You know, that's the problem, is I got too many ideas and stories, and like originally my comic was supposed to just be every issue was a different superhero, but then people are like, but we like the Patriarch, and then I realized I needed a continuity, you know. So I mean, really, I got to make 60-page issues, or I got to do what Dave Brink is doing and making 2 different comics. That's my goal, is to make a slate of comics, is to have Heroic Tales be like Marvel Premiere, you know what I mean, and then see who is successful, and then have a Patriarch comic and a Mary Sue comic and a Dick Dante comic, you know what I mean, and the Meta League, you know, which is my superhero team. Blue Sky, who goes on Blue Sky? I made a Blue Sky account because You got to go where the comic book people, if you want to talk to comic book people and get them on the channel. I'm blocked by Kurt Biesek on Twitter, but I'm not blocked by him on Blue Sky, and he turned me down. He says he doesn't like to do podcasts and he has migraines and blah, 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 blah. He's kind of a jerk. The idea of mutants was so they didn't need to explain how every character got their powers. Yes. It was a lazy way, and it was kind of brilliant, and it worked, but it's overused. Stan Lee couldn't think of new oranges anymore, so just introduced mutants. Yeah, absolutely. And they're crybabies and they're whiners, and they want to be treated like everybody else, but they really want preferential treatment. They're the perfect progressives. Maybe you ought to think about hiring me to draw Dick Dante Patriarch supplemental team up. I would love to. A lot is riding on issue 2. Issue number 1, I don't have enough data to base. It's my first issue. I made $7,000, but let me say this: it cost $2,000 to ship. It cost almost $4,000 for art and coloring and inking and all that stuff. So that's $6,000 right there, and then printing. So it was another $2,000. So cost me like $1,000 to make issue number 1, and I was willing to do it because think about it, $1,000 for your hobby for the year, that's really cheap. So issue number 2, I gotta do a little bit better. I streamlined my process. I figured out what to do. I could do it cheaper, so I need to I need to make it, I hate this word, sustainable. I gotta you know what I mean. And if I could make $10,000, first off, I want to give Renzo more money. He deserves it. Second off, I would like to be able to do what Dave Brink's doing and make like extra comics, spin-off titles, So a lot is riding on issue number 2. And plus, I spent a lot of money on t-shirts, challenge coins. Like, I spent a fortune on these coins, and I don't even have them on my website to buy. So I'm more enthusiastic than I am a businessman. The way Toad didn't get licked by a frog that was exposed to a radioactive sludge, but friends with sewer turtles. There you go. You see, it's so easy. Not so much. He's a less said the better. I'll offer a discount on my offer. Dick Dante Patriarch. This will be inspired to draw on you for that project. Cool. You know what? Maybe I'll send you a description, and you could, Apex, if you're interested, I'll send you a description. You can be the first person to draw him and know his secret name and his costume and everything like that. Message me on Twitter. So there you go. Almost 2 hours on this. As always, I will continue talking as long as the chat is engaging. Anything you want to say? Anything anybody want to talk about? Bueller. So, what did we agree on, Marcus? What did we agree on for It's Clobbering Time next week? Did we come up with an It's Clobbering Time? John Snowden. The less said, the better. Haha. Who is this new John? I know. Well, when it comes to me spoiling my comics, I can't shut up. But when it comes, I don't want to. I was just talking about less drama, and then I'm going to talk bad about Kurt Piasek. I could. Kurt Piasek got mercury poisoning. I know that, and mercury poisoning is a long, slow recovering process. I mean, it literally caused people to go mad and die. That's where you get the mad as a hatter expression from. So, but and if Kurt Piasek doesn't want to do interviews, that's fine too. But his politics is so annoying. His politics was just so annoying, And again, I could disagree with you. I disagree with a lot of people, but his self-righteousness is what drives me nuts. Good idea for a Sunday morning. Is this your first time for Sunday Comics, Joe Snowden? I know I've seen your name in my chat before, but everything kind of blends in. Yeah, I do this every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Seer of all that is obvious. There's a new name. I would remember that name. 44 years ago tonight, John Lennon was murdered in New York City. Wow. I remember. I remember when he was killed. Yeah. I remember when he was killed. I remember when the Pope was shot. I remember when Reagan was shot. I remember all those things. Hmm. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what. I know I asked you a question and now I forgot. So, I had something to say. Oh, he's not sure about it's clobbering time. Yeah, did we end without solidifying and it's clobbering time? I got to go back and watch the video. So, as always, let me tell you what I got planned for this week. I'm just looking at my phone. I keep all my records on my calendar app. So, Monday, Tuesday, I will have nothing. It's game nights. Travis. I have Tuesday, Travis. And then yeah, who's Travis? I forget who Travis is, but I have Travis on Tuesday. I have to look up who Travis is. I don't know. I got to look up. Whoever I have somebody named Travis booked at 7 p.m. and then 8:30. I'm going to have Paul Thayer for Project Analysis, for comic book team up, and then that's all I have. So I have some openings this week and then Friday I'm going to do crowdfunding 101 and talk about fulfillment with Edward Lillard, I think is his name. And then comic book team up at 8:30. So that's all I have scheduled this week. Travis Patrick, what comic is he doing? I got to reach out. I booked somebody and I don't have any information. I've done that like twice before. I love this cover, both this and the hologram issues. I'll have to watch the recap from the beginning. Okay. Yeah, this is a great issue. It's so good. And I'm not even joking. Every issue in the 80s, in 180, 179, whatever, like once from 150 to like 210, every issue is a classic, especially the 80s, 180 to 189, phenomenal comics, just so good. It's just this run of comics needs to be shown more often. It is so good. Yeah, John Byrne, yeah, George Perez, just phenomenal art. Classic. Duck Bacon. Still an X fan, even though these dark days, I like the idea of mutants, but I agree. Yeah. I like superheroes, and I don't mind like allegory and the outsiders and outcasts and civil rights and all that stuff, but the X-Men just became whiny hypocrites. And it was funny because I was talking with Vaughn Coleman, and Vaughn Coleman is reading the Chris Claremont X-Men for the first time right now, and he's just bursting with enthusiasm. And when I told him that I quit reading, I think he said he was up to X-Men 263, I think is the number that he said. And I said, yeah, well, I quit reading the X-Men at 204. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I quit the X-Men during Claremont, and this was like before it became like super duper popular, before it became like a franchise. I said, I was just tired of the X-Men's hypocrisy. They weren't heroes anymore. They were their own faction. They were, the Avengers are working for the betterment of humanity. Fantastic Four is working. I think they work best is when they're working for like exploration and the betterment of science, the human condition and through science. The Defenders were like defending the Earth from like really strange, bizarre, each team had their own flavor back then. What was the X-Men? We're the X-Men and we do whatever we want. Back when Claremont and Byrne were doing it, they were superheroes. They were fighting like against alien invasions, but later on they just became like, we just want special treatment. We want special treatment. We claim we want equal treatment, and the final straw was when Magneto finally got arrested for his crimes. The X-Men break into the court, take him away because he's not going to get a fair trial. How do you, and then harbor him. And then what does Magneto do? He rips off all their information and becomes a villain again. And they did the same thing. It's like, so we just want to be treated like everybody else, except when we get arrested and put on trial for our crimes. Then we don't want to be treated like everybody. Just like, oh God, I was like, I can't in good conscience read about a super team like this, So I've since bought. I think I have up to like the end of the Uncanny Run, but I bought it like and read it. It binge read it. And I don't remember it as well. Oops. I noticed that Vision's up here, and Vision's not in the comic. Apex. Neil Adams was a Republican and Danny O'Neill is a Democrat. Of course, they agreed to disagree, and it was a simpler time back then. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. People were allowed to disagree and still be friends. Plus, they probably kept their politics reined in like normal. Like, I didn't know what my parents' politics were for most of my life. All the ingredients makes X-Men better. I just cracked Savage Land graphic novel. Cool. I remember when they went to subvert and destroy when they write these. Yeah. They're not good guys anymore. A team of ideological degenerates. That's what they are now. Yep. Claremont, Michael Gold, Dave Cock. Yeah, legends. You just listed legends. So we've been talking for 2 hours. Thank you guys for showing up. This is still, I love this. This is like my favorite thing that I do on my channel. I love the conversations. I love everything I do on the channel, but I just love this because it's just pure comics. It's just pure comics. We get to sit and talk about comics. So there you go. I'm going to play the outro. I'm going to go get something to eat. My stomach is growling, and I'll see you. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.